The calm before the storm. The sun peeked through the large windows of the bustling office of EventScape, a company renowned for its innovative event booths. The air was filled with the scent of fresh coffee and the sound of keyboards clacking. 5 employees sat at their desks, each immersed in their own world, yet all connected by a common goal: to create unforgettable experiences for their clients. At the center of the room, Sarah, the project manager, was reviewing the plans for an upcoming tech expo. Her brow furrowed as she scanned the intricate designs on her screen. "This booth needs to be perfect," she muttered to herself, her mind racing with ideas. Sarah was known for her attention to detail and her relentless pursuit of excellence. She had a reputation for being tough but fair, and her team respected her for it. Across from her, Jake, the lead designer, was sketching out a new concept. He was a free spirit, often lost in his thoughts, but when it came to design, he was a genius. "Hey, Sarah, what do you think about adding some interactive elements to the booth?" he called out, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Absolutely. We need to engage the audience," Sarah replied, her focus shifting momentarily from the screen to Jake's sketches. "But let's keep it within budget. We can't afford any surprises this time." Meanwhile, in the corner of the office, Lisa, the marketing specialist, was on a call with a potential client. Her voice was smooth and persuasive, a skill she had honed over the years. "Yes, we can definitely create a booth that captures your brand's essence. I'll send over some examples right away," she said, her smile evident even through the phone. Lisa was ambitious and driven, always looking for ways to elevate her career. As the morning progressed, the atmosphere in the office was lively, filled with laughter and camaraderie. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Tom, the newest member of the team, was struggling to keep up. He had joined EventScape just a month ago and was eager to prove himself. However, his inexperience was starting to show. He was tasked with organizing the materials for the upcoming event, but he had miscalculated the quantities needed. "Hey, Tom, do you have the list of materials for the tech expo?" Sarah asked, glancing up from her computer. Yeah, I'm just finishing it up," Tom replied, his voice shaky. He was sweating slightly, knowing he had made a mistake but not wanting to admit it. "I'll have it to you in a minute. Make sure you double-check everything. We can't afford any delays," Sarah warned, her tone firm but not unkind. As Tom sat at his desk, panic set in. He had ordered half the amount of materials needed, and the expo was just days away. He felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "What am I going to do?" he whispered to himself, his mind racing with thoughts of failure. Just then, Mark, the operations manager, walked in. He was a no-nonsense type of guy, known for his straightforward approach. "Tom, you got the materials list?" he asked, crossing his arms. "Almost done," Tom stammered, avoiding eye contact. He could feel the weight of Mark's gaze on him, and it made him even more anxious. "Listen, if you're having trouble, just ask for help. We're a team," Mark said, his voice softening slightly. "But we need to get this right." Tom nodded, grateful for the encouragement but still feeling overwhelmed. He knew he had to come clean about his mistake, but the thought of disappointing his team was unbearable. The unraveling. The next morning dawned with a sense of urgency hanging in the air at EventScape. The team gathered around the conference table, coffee cups in hand, ready to discuss the final preparations for the tech expo. Sarah stood at the head of the table, her laptop open and a presentation projected on the wall behind her. "All right, everyone, let's go over the timeline for the expo," she began, her voice steady but laced with tension. "We have just 3 days left, and we need to ensure everything is in place." Jake leaned back in his chair, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the table. "I've finalized the design for the interactive elements. I think they'll really draw people in," he said, a hint of excitement in his tone. "Great! But remember, we need to stick to the budget," Sarah reminded him, her eyes narrowing slightly. "We can't afford any last-minute expenses." Lisa chimed in, "I've been in touch with our marketing partners, and they're ready to promote our booth. We just need to make sure we have everything set up perfectly." Tom sat quietly, his heart racing. He had spent the night tossing and turning, replaying the moment he realized he had ordered only half the materials needed. He felt a weight on his shoulders, knowing he had to confess his mistake but dreading the fallout. "Tom, do Do you have the materials list? Sarah asked, her gaze shifting to him. Yes. I have it right here, he stammered, pulling out a crumpled piece of paper. Everything is, accounted for. Mark, who had been observing Tom closely, raised an eyebrow. Are you sure about that? We can't afford any discrepancies. Tom's palms were sweaty as he glanced at the list. Yes, I double-checked it, he lied, his voice barely above a whisper. All right, let's move on, Sarah said, sensing the tension but choosing to focus on the task at hand. We need to finalize the logistics for transporting the booth materials to the venue. As the meeting continued, Tom's anxiety grew. He felt like a ticking time bomb, and he knew he had to come clean before it was too late. But every time he opened his mouth, the words got stuck in his throat. After the meeting, as the team dispersed, Tom lingered behind, his heart pounding. He approached Sarah, who was busy organizing her notes. Sarah, can I talk to you for a second? He asked, his voice trembling. Of course, Tom. What's on your mind? She replied, looking up with a concerned expression. I made a mistake with the materials order, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. I only ordered half of what we need for the expo. Sarah's expression shifted from concern to disbelief. What do you mean, half? We're just days away from the event. I know. I'm so sorry. I thought I had it all figured out, but I miscalculated, Tom said, his eyes pleading for understanding. Tom, this is serious. We can't just wing it now, Sarah said, frustration creeping into her voice. We need those materials to build the booth. I'll fix it. I promise, Tom insisted, desperation creeping in. I'll call the suppliers and see if I can get the rest delivered in time. Do it now, Sarah ordered, her tone firm. We don't have a moment to lose. As Tom rushed out of the office, he felt a mix of fear and determination. He had to make this right, not just for himself but for the entire team. He dialed the supplier's number, his hands shaking as he waited for someone to pick up. Hello. The race against time. Tom paced nervously in front of his desk, the phone pressed tightly against his ear. The ringing felt like an eternity, each tone amplifying his anxiety. Finally, a voice answered, and he took a deep breath. Hello, this is Mike from Event Supplies. How can I help you? Hi, Mike. This is Tom from EventScape. I need to place an urgent order for materials for the Tech Expo. I realized I only ordered half of what we need, Tom blurted out, his heart racing. Okay, let's see what we can do. What do you need? Mike replied, his tone professional but slightly skeptical. Tom quickly rattled off the list of materials, his mind racing to remember every detail. We need additional panels, lighting fixtures, and interactive displays. It's for a tech expo, and we need everything by tomorrow morning. That's going to be tight, Mike said, pausing. I can get you the panels and lighting, but the interactive displays might take longer. They're in high demand right now. Tom felt a wave of panic wash over him. Is there any way to expedite the order? We can't afford to miss this deadline. I'll see what I can do, but I can't make any promises, Mike replied. I'll call you back in 30 minutes. Thank you, Tom said, hanging up the phone. He felt a mix of hope and dread. He had done what he could, but now it was out of his hands. As he returned to his desk, he found Sarah waiting for him, arms crossed and a serious expression on her face. Did you get through to the supplier? I did, but they can only guarantee some of the materials by tomorrow morning. The interactive displays might take longer, Tom admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah's expression hardened. We can't afford to wait. We need a backup plan. Let's brainstorm some alternatives. Just then, Jake walked in, his usual carefree demeanor replaced by concern. What's going on? I heard some commotion. Tom messed up the materials order for the expo, Sarah said bluntly. We're in a tight spot. Jake's eyes widened. Oh man, that's rough. But we can figure this out. What if we modify the design? We could use some existing materials to create a simpler version of the booth. That could work, Sarah said, her mind racing. But we need to act fast. Lisa, can you reach out to our contacts and see if anyone has spare materials we can borrow? On it. Lisa replied, already typing away on her laptop. I'll make some calls and see what I can find. As the team rallied together, Tom felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they could salvage this after all. They spent the next hour brainstorming ideas, sketching out new designs, and making calls to suppliers and contacts. Just as they were starting to feel a sense of momentum, Tom's phone buzzed. It was Mike from the supplier. Tom, I have an update for you, Mike said. We can get the panels and lighting to you by tomorrow morning, but the interactive displays won't arrive until the day after the expo. Tom's heart sank. Is there any way to get them sooner? I'm afraid not. We're completely booked, Mike replied apologetically. Thanks for trying, Tom said, hanging up the phone. He turned to the team, his face pale. The displays won't be here in time. Silence filled the room as the weight of the news settled in. Sarah's expression shifted from determination to frustration. We need to come up with a new plan, and fast. The expo is a huge opportunity for us, and the turning point. The atmosphere in the office was tense as the team grappled with the reality of their situation. Sarah paced back and forth, her mind racing with potential solutions. We can't let this setback define us. We need to think outside the box, she urged, her voice steady despite the pressure. Jake, always the creative thinker, chimed in. What if we create a virtual interactive experience instead? We could use tablets or screens to showcase the technology we were planning to display. It could even attract more attention. Lisa's eyes lit up. That's a brilliant idea. We can promote it as a cutting-edge feature of our booth. People love technology, and this could set us apart from the competition. Tom felt a surge of relief wash over him. I can help with the content for the virtual experience. I know the tech well enough to create engaging presentations and demos. Great! Let's divide and conquer, Sarah said, her leadership instincts kicking in. Jake, you and Tom can work on the virtual setup. Lisa, reach out to our marketing contacts to promote this new angle. I'll handle logistics and make sure we have everything we need for the booth. The team sprang into action, each member focused on their tasks. Tom and Jake huddled together, brainstorming ideas for the virtual experience. They sketched out a plan that included interactive demos, videos, and even a live Q&A session with one of their tech experts. As they worked, Tom felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just the newcomer who had made a mistake. He was part of a team that was determined to turn things around. The energy in the room shifted from anxiety to excitement as ideas flowed freely. Meanwhile, Lisa was busy on the phone, reaching out to their marketing partners. We're pivoting our approach for the expo, she explained. We're introducing a virtual interactive experience that showcases our technology in a new way. Can you help us promote this? Absolutely. We can create social media buzz and send out a press release, her contact replied enthusiastically. This could be a great angle for the event. As the hours passed, the team worked tirelessly, fueled by coffee and determination. They collaborated seamlessly, each member contributing their strengths to the project. By the end of the day, they had a solid plan in place, complete with visuals and a marketing strategy. As they wrapped up, Sarah gathered everyone for a quick debrief. I'm incredibly proud of how we've come together to tackle this challenge. We've turned a potential disaster into an opportunity to showcase our creativity and innovation. Tom felt a swell of gratitude for his teammates. Thank you all for believing in me and for working so hard. I really appreciate it. Don't mention it, Jake said with a grin. We're all in this together. Now let's make this booth unforgettable. The next day, the team arrived at the expo venue early, ready to set up their booth. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the buzz of excitement and anticipation. As they unloaded their materials, Tom felt a mix of nerves and exhilaration. Remember, we're not just showcasing a booth. We're creating an experience, Sarah reminded them as they began assembling the setup. As they worked, Tom took a moment to step back and observe the hustle and bustle around him. Other companies were setting up their booths, some with flashy displays and elaborate setups. But he felt a sense of pride knowing that their team had turned a setback into something unique and engaging. Finally, the moment arrived. The expo doors opened, and attendees flooded in. Tom watched as people were drawn to their booth, intrigued by the virtual experience they had created. Laughter and excitement filled the air as visitors interacted with the technology and engaged with the team. "Look at this!" Jake exclaimed, pointing to the turning point. The team at EventScape faces the aftermath of a major mistake that threatens the success of their latest project. Each team member grapples with the issue from their unique perspective, trying to find a resolution. Scene: the EventScape office, filled with tension and determination as the team works against the clock. Action and dialogue. Jake's perspective. As the sun began to rise over the city, its golden rays filtered through the large windows of the EventScape office. Jake, the lead designer, sat hunched over his desk, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the keyboard. His usually relaxed demeanor was replaced by a sense of urgency. The Tech Expo was just days away, and they had just discovered a critical mistake. Tom had ordered only half the materials needed for the booth. Jake glanced at Tom, who was sitting across from him, staring blankly at his computer screen. He could see the stress etched on Tom's face, and he felt a pang of sympathy for the newcomer. "Hey, Tom," Jake called out softly, trying to offer some reassurance. "We'll figure this out. We're a team, remember?" Tom looked up, his eyes filled with worry. "I screwed up, Jake. I don't know how we're going to fix this in time." Jake leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. He knew they couldn't afford to dwell on the mistake. They needed a solution, and fast. "Let's get Sarah and Lisa in here. We'll brainstorm some ideas. Maybe we can come up with a backup plan." Sarah's perspective. Sarah, the project manager, was in her office, poring over the budget reports when she heard Jake's voice. She could sense the urgency in his tone and immediately set her work aside. "What's going on?" she asked as she entered the main office. Jake quickly filled her in on the situation, and Sarah's heart sank. This was a significant setback, but she knew she had to stay calm and composed for the sake of her team. "All right, let's not panic," she said, her voice steady. "We'll find a way to make this work. Jake, can you think of any design adjustments we can make with the materials we have?" Jake nodded, already considering various possibilities. "We might need to simplify the design, but I think we can still make it impressive." Lisa's perspective. Meanwhile, Lisa was in the corner of the office, talking to a potential client on the phone. She ended the call with a smile, but her expression quickly changed when she saw the worried looks on her colleagues' faces. "What's happening?" she asked, joining the group. Sarah explained the situation, and Lisa's mind immediately went into overdrive. "Okay, we need to spin this to our advantage," she said, her marketing instincts kicking in. "If we can't have the most elaborate booth, let's focus on making it the most interactive and engaging. We can use tablets and screens to create a virtual experience." Sarah nodded in agreement. "That's a great idea. We can promote it as a cutting-edge feature." Lisa, start working on the marketing angle. Jake, get started on the design adjustments. I'll handle logistics and see if we can expedite the remaining materials. Tom's perspective. Tom watched as his colleagues sprang into action, a sense of gratitude washing over him. He felt a renewed determination to make things right. "I'll help with the virtual experience content," he offered. "I know the tech well enough to create engaging presentations and demos." Sarah gave him an encouraging smile. "Good. Let's make this work. We don't have a moment to lose." Mark's perspective. Mark, the operations manager, had been quietly observing the scene unfold. He admired how the team had quickly rallied together, but he knew they needed more than just good ideas. They needed flawless execution. "I'll oversee the setup and ensure everything runs smoothly," he said, his authoritative voice cutting through the tension. Sarah looked at him, relieved. "Thanks, Mark. We need all hands on deck for this." Cliffhanger. As the team worked tirelessly throughout the day, the atmosphere in the office shifted from one of panic to one of focused determination. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, but with their combined efforts, they believed they could turn the situation around. Just as they were about to wrap up for the night, Tom's phone buzzed with a message. He glanced at the screen and his face paled. Sarah, we have another problem." The unexpected ally. Description: the team discovers an unexpected ally who offers a potential solution to their problem, but it requires taking a significant risk. Scene: The bustling office as the team weighs their options and decides whether to trust the new ally. Action and dialogue. Tom's perspective. Tom's heart raced as he stared at his phone screen. The message was from Mike, a former colleague who now worked for a competing company. "I heard about your situation. I might be able to help," the message read. Tom hesitated, knowing that accepting help from a competitor was risky. But they were running out of options. "Sarah, I just got a message from Mike," Tom said, his voice filled with uncertainty. "He thinks he can help us, but he's working for a competitor now." Sarah's brow furrowed as she processed the information. "We can't afford to be picky. Let's hear him out." Mike's offer. Mike arrived at the EventScape office later that afternoon. The atmosphere was tense as the team gathered around the conference table. "Thanks for coming," Sarah began, her tone cautious. "What do you have in mind?" Mike nodded, understanding their apprehension. "I know this is unconventional, but I have access to some materials that could bridge the gap for you. My company ordered extra for an upcoming event, and they won't notice if a few pieces go missing." Jake raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "And what do you get out of this, Mike?" Mike shrugged. "Consider it a favor. We had a good working relationship, and I hate to see you guys in a bind. Plus, it never hurts to have allies in the industry." Weighing the risks. The team exchanged glances, weighing the risks. Lisa was the first to speak up. "If we accept his help, we could meet our deadline and deliver a fantastic booth. But if we're caught, it could damage our reputation." Sarah nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "It's a tough decision. We need to consider all angles. Jake, can you make the materials work within our current design?" Jake looked thoughtful. "I can make it work, but we'll need to adjust some elements. It won't be exactly what we planned, but it will still be impressive." Mark, ever the pragmatist, added, "We need to ensure there's no trace back to us. If anyone finds out, it needs to look like a coincidence." The decision. After a lengthy discussion, the team reached a consensus. "We'll take the risk," Sarah said, her voice firm. "But we need to be careful. Mike, we'll need your help in making sure everything goes smoothly." Mike nodded, relieved. "You can count on me. Let's make this work." Cliffhanger. As the team finalized their plan and prepared to execute it, the tension in the office was palpable. They knew they were walking a tightrope, but the potential payoff was worth the risk. Just as they were about to call it a night, the office phone rang. Sarah answered, her face going pale as she listened to the caller. "We have another problem," she said, her voice shaking. "Our main competitor just found out about our virtual experience. The climax." Description. With the stakes higher than ever, the team executes their plan. The tension mounts as they face unforeseen challenges and must rely on their teamwork and creativity to succeed. Scene. The event venue, filled with anticipation and activity as the team puts their plan into action. Action and dialogue. Sarah's perspective. Sarah stood at the entrance of the bustling expo hall, her heart pounding with a mixture of anxiety and excitement. The EventScape booth was nearly complete, but the knowledge that their main competitor was aware of their virtual experience added a new layer of pressure. "All right, team," she said, gathering everyone around. "Today is the day. We need to be at our best. Let's make this booth unforgettable." Jake's perspective. Jake was already in motion, making final adjustments to the booth's interactive elements. "Everything's set up and ready to go," he said, his voice filled with determination. "We've added a few extra features to make it even more engaging. We just need to draw people in." He caught sight of Tom, who was arranging the tablets for the virtual experience. "Tom, how's the content coming along?" Jake asked. Tom looked up, a hint of confidence in his eyes. "I've prepared presentations and demos for each product. We're ready." Lisa's perspective. Lisa was at the back of the booth, finalizing the marketing materials. She glanced at Sarah, who was coordinating the logistics. "I've sent out one last round of social media posts. We should see a good turnout," Lisa said. Sarah nodded. "Great. Make sure to engage with visitors and highlight the unique features of our booth. We need to stand out." Mark's perspective. Mark was overseeing the setup, ensuring everything ran smoothly. He spotted a group of expo staff members approaching their booth and quickly stepped in to assist. "We've got this under control," Mark said confidently. "Just need a few more minutes for the final touches." One of the staff members glanced around, impressed. "Your booth looks amazing. Can't wait to see it in action." Mark smiled, a sense of pride swelling within him. "Thanks. We've put a lot of hard work into this." The unforeseen challenge. Just as the team was about to open their booth to the public, disaster struck. A sudden power surge caused several of the interactive displays to flicker and go dark. Panic set in as Jake frantically tried to troubleshoot the issue. "What's going on?" Sarah demanded, her voice tense. Jake shook his head, frustration evident on his face. "I don't know. Something's caused a short circuit. We need to fix this, and fast." Tom stepped forward, his face pale but determined. "I think I can help. I have some experience with wiring. Let me take a look." Tom's redemption. Tom knelt beside the display, his hands trembling slightly as he examined the wiring. He took a deep breath, his mind racing with the steps he needed to take. Slowly, methodically, he began to rewire the connections, his colleagues watching anxiously. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, the screens flickered back to life. Tom stood up, wiping the sweat from his brow. "I think it's fixed." Jake quickly checked the displays, a relieved smile spreading across his face. "You did it, Tom. Great work." Engaging the audience. With the crisis averted, the team threw themselves into engaging the audience. Sarah and Lisa greeted visitors with enthusiasm, showcasing the booth's features. Jake and Tom demonstrated the virtual experience, capturing the attention of intrigued attendees. Mark ensured everything ran smoothly, coordinating with the expo staff and keeping an eye on the booth's operations. Cliffhanger. As the day drew to a close, the team gathered for a moment of reflection. They had faced numerous challenges but had come together to overcome them. Just as they were starting to relax, an announcement over the loudspeaker caught their attention. "Attention! Exhibitors! We'll now announce the winner of the Best Booth Award. Stay tuned." The team exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Had their hard work paid off? They would soon find out. The resolution. The team reflects on their journey, celebrates their success, and looks forward to future challenges. They realize the value of their teamwork and individual contributions. Scene: the EventScape office, now a place of triumph and camaraderie as the team wraps up the project. Action and dialogue. Sarah's perspective. Sarah stood at the front of the room, her heart pounding as the expo organizer approached the microphone. "And the winner of the Best Booth Award is EventScape." The announcement echoed through the hall, and a wave of cheers and applause erupted from the audience. Sarah turned to her team, her eyes brimming with pride. "We did it, guys. We really did it." She hugged each of her colleagues, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for their hard work and dedication. Jake's perspective. Jake could hardly believe their luck. All the long hours and stressful moments had paid off. "This is incredible," he said, beaming. "We turned a potential disaster into something amazing. I'm so proud of all of us." He looked at Tom, who had played a crucial role in fixing the technical issues. "Tom, you were a lifesaver. Your quick thinking saved the day." Tom's perspective. Tom felt a surge of emotion as his colleagues praised him. He had been worried about fitting in and proving himself, but now he felt like a valued member of the team. "Thanks everyone," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without your support." He thought back to the moment when he had discovered the mistake he had made with the materials. It seemed like a lifetime ago, and he was grateful for the opportunity to redeem himself. Lisa's perspective. Lisa was busy networking with other exhibitors, but she returned to the booth just in time to hear the announcement. She couldn't contain her excitement. "This is fantastic. Our virtual experience was a hit, and it attracted so much attention." She turned to Sarah, a wide smile on her face. "This is just the beginning. With the buzz we've generated, we're bound to get more clients and bigger projects." Sarah nodded, her mind already racing with ideas for future endeavors. "You're right, Lisa. This is just the start. Let's keep this momentum going. Mark's perspective. Mark watched the celebration unfold, a sense of satisfaction filling him. He had always believed in the team's potential, and seeing their hard work recognized was deeply rewarding. "We pulled together when it mattered most," he said, his voice steady. "That's what makes us a great team." He looked at Sarah, Jake, Lisa, and Tom, each of them bringing their unique strengths to the table. "We faced challenges and overcame them together. That's something to be proud of." Epilogue. Back at the EventScape office, the team gathered around the conference table, the Best Booth Award proudly displayed in the center. They raised their glasses in a toast, celebrating their success and looking forward to future challenges. Sarah stood up, a sense of accomplishment radiating from her. "To our amazing team," she began, her voice filled with emotion. "We've proven that we can overcome any obstacle as long as we work together. Let's continue to innovate, create, and inspire." The team cheered, their spirits high. They knew that the road ahead would be filled with new challenges, but they were ready to face them together. Each member of the team had grown through this experience, and they were stronger for it. As they celebrated, Tom felt a sense of belonging and purpose he had never experienced before. He knew he had found his place at EventScape, and he was excited for the future. With the support of his colleagues, he felt ready to take on any challenge that came his way. Together, the team at EventScape looked forward to a bright future, filled with opportunities to showcase their creativity and innovation. They had faced a major setback and emerged victorious, proving that with determination, collaboration, and a little bit of luck, they could achieve greatness.